I'm about to briefly discuss the point of my new series, Cinema Dissections. If you would like to skip right to the review, it begins here. Hello everybody, and welcome to my new... Hello? Is anyone even watching this? Well, I guess I can't blame them. It's not like I post that often on here. And when I do, it's just a bunch of cryptic bullshit. Anyway, for the few of you watching from some point in the future, welcome to the newest in a long line of things that I've been trying to get going on this channel. In this series, as you may have guessed, I will be dissecting movies and TV series of varying quality. But ultimately, this show is my attempt at making somewhat regular content instead of leaving my channel as the barren wasteland that it has been for the last couple years. I'm a perfectionist by nature, and so when it comes to videos that I'm working the hardest on, that usually being the Cypher series, if it's not perfect, I won't upload it. Which of course means many late nights, and early mornings, and sleep-deprived hallucinations. Each episode will be completely unique from the last. In one, I may spend my time praising an excellent movie. In another, I may rip apart a horrible TV show.
Okay.
Every once in a while, I may even delve into general cinema-related discussions and topics. For example, what I think is ruining modern cinema. I'm looking at you, superhero movies, mindless cash grab blockbusters, and cheap jump scare horror films. Of course, this is all just my opinion, which is subjective to my own personality. If you agree or disagree, I totally accept that and welcome any feedback you're willing to give. I totally won't read all the opposing comments and dwell on them until I lose my mind. So with all that out of the way, let's get on with the review. Today, I will be discussing 1963's The Haunted Palace, starring Vincent Price. You may be asking why I chose this movie to start with. Honestly, it's just the movie I watched the most recently. I even added it to my ever-growing personal collection.
Only the best go in my collection.
This movie was written by Charles Beaumont and is loosely based on The Case of Charles Dexter Ward by H.P. Lovecraft. Charles Beaumont wrote over 22 episodes of Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone, and a few of those episodes are also in my personal collection. Needless to say, I'm a big fan of his work. He is by far the second greatest writer for The Twilight Zone, the first of course being Rod Serling himself. The Haunted Palace was marketed at the time as an Edgar Allan Poe movie, which I found very odd since it was based off of an H.P. Lovecraft story. The cause of this is simply due to the fact that Edgar Allan Poe was a very popular name at the time. This is due to the fact that director Roger Corman had actually made a film franchise very loosely based on Poe's stories. Now, I'm a huge fan of Edgar Allan Poe. I've read all of his works as well as H.P. Lovecraft's, but let me be very clear, this movie has very little to do with Edgar Allan Poe's work. The only connection to Edgar Allan Poe in this movie is a poem of his they chose to awkwardly shoehorn in near the beginning and end of the film. This poem is of course called The Haunted Palace. Now, I love The Haunted Palace. It is a great poem. But there is no reason for it to be in this movie. I suspect executive meddling. Yeah, the people love your Poe movies. We want another one of those. But I wanted to make a story based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft. That tentacle guy? Whatever, just grab something of Poe's in there so we can put his name on the posters. This isn't the same voice I was using earlier. Okay, so the plot of this movie is very simple. I'll try to keep this spoiler free. In the fabled town of Arkham... No, not that Arkham. Yes, that one. In the fabled town of Arkham, the villagers suspect local aristocrat Joseph Kerwin of being a necromancer. After catching him in the act of sacrificing a young girl to the elder gods, they proceed to burn him at the stake. But before he dies, he places a curse upon the town and each of the men responsible for his death.
Have you anything to say, Warlock?
Only this. As surely as the village of Arkham has risen up against me, so shall I rise from the dead against the village of Arkham. Each one of you, Ezra Whedon, Micah Smith, Benjamin West, Priam Willett, Gideon Leach, all of you and your children's children shall have just cause to regret the actions of this night. For from this night onward, you shall bear my curse.
I love that bit. Vincent Price's acting is just superb. Anyway, 110 years later, Joseph Kerwin's descendant, Charles Dexter Ward, inherits Kerwin's
palace
and travels to Arkham with his wife to examine it and decide what to do with it. Okay, I just want to say, I love how Arkham is portrayed in this film. Seeped in atmosphere and fog, it's delightfully creepy. It very closely resembles Lovecraft's depiction of Innsmouth, with its mutant inhabitants and humid environment. Sure seems fishy to me. That joke probably went right over everyone's head. After a brief run-in with the locals, Charles and his wife go to the
palace
and investigate. There, we are treated to something truly great.
Good evening.
None other than Lon Chaney Jr., playing the magnificently creepy caretaker, Simon. Most folks know Lon Chaney Jr. as the original Wolfman, which was one of the first movies I ever watched as a kid. And with Universal rebooting all their classic monster movies, let's see who's playing him in the reboot. But Kerwin's curse wasn't
just a bunch of hocus pocus.
Immediately upon arriving, Charles instinctively knows his way around. Come to find out that part of Kerwin's curse is returning from the dead by taking over the body of one of his descendants. Vincent Price is truly exceptional in this film, as he is in everything he's ever done. You can almost physically see the struggle between the two warring minds in his head. Vincent Price's true talent really shows here. Charles is a very kind, compassionate man, while Kerwin is hateful and detestable. And in this scene, Price transforms between the two of them through body language alone. I won't say any more plot-wise, because you simply have to see this film if it sounds like your kind of thing. The acting is amazing, the story is fascinating, and if you're a fan of Lovecraft, there are even direct connections to Lovecraft's characters, objects, and elder gods.
Such as?
It was thought, Mr. Ward, that he had gained possession of a book called the Necronomicon, but they claimed it held enough secrets to give a man absolute power. Of course, every mythology has such a book, but the Necronomicon supposedly contained formulas through which one could communicate with or even summon the elder gods. The dark ones from beyond who had once ruled the world. And now we're merely waiting for an opportunity to regain that control. Thulu, Yog-Sothoth. Dreadful rubbish, I know. Still, the people of Arkham believed it.
With all this talk about Marvel and DC's cinematic universe, and now Universal's abhorrent new Monsters universe, what they should be doing is making a Lovecraft cinematic universe. It's already set up and everything. Although knowing Hollywood in this day and age, they would probably hire Michael Bay to direct it, and Cthulhu would be a CGI abomination. The only complaint I have about this film is that there are 2 or 3 of these scenes where they just walk around with dramatic music playing, and it just goes on and on and on. I would just like to point out that in many of these older horror movies, everything is covered in these horrifying spider webs. Seriously, was the past just infested with these giant spiders or what? In terms of what consists Lovecraftian themes, this movie ticks all the boxes. Huh, I wonder if you can tell I'm a fan. So there it is, episode 1 of Cinema Dissections. If you enjoyed this review or have any movie suggestions, be sure to leave a comment and let me know. As always, sharing this video would be greatly appreciated, and it helps out more than you know. Join me next time for my review of, I'm trying to think of something I hate. I guess I'll just surprise you all then. And by you all, I mean the 97 of you that are still here. Thanks for sticking around, by the way.